Okay, doing a sound check. Testing the levels for pre-stated, which will probably happen in like 10 to 15 minutes. Doing sound check. How are we looking? Okay. You're good, William? Okay, great. Okay, doing one last sound check. Okay, great.
Okay. Hi, Gail. Okay, good afternoon. So let me just thank the council members who are here. Councilmember Oswald Filez, our Majority Leader Sean Abreu, Councilmember Gail Brewer, and our Finance Chair Linda Lee. So obviously, earlier today, you saw that the mayor and I had our handshake around the budget, and this is a budget that secures the most ever capital and expense funding for the City Council, while also demonstrating prudent fiscal responsibility. And I just want to reiterate a few of the transformative investments that will meaningfully tackle the affordability crisis. With a substantial investment to sensibly expand housing vouchers, we are helping to keep thousands more families in their homes and out of the shelter system. In addition to the investment, we reached a historic agreement on city FEPS with the administration. They have agreed to drop the lawsuit. This is something that we had been fighting for since January. They also agreed to settle the case, and as part of the settlement of the case, it will involve the council passing a new bill that is sponsored by Councilmember Sanchez. We'll be passing that bill today. And that bill basically creates a new program around vouchers administered by HPD and puts some guardrails in place to ensure that the program is fiscally sound, and it takes it from an entitlement program to one that is subject to appropriations to make sure that we are protecting vulnerable New Yorkers, but also doing so in a cost-containing, effective way. We've also been joined by Councilmember Gutierrez. We expanded eligibility for fair fares to residents that are earning up to 200% of the federal poverty level. This is the largest expansion of fair fares in city council history. Incredibly exciting. And this will, of course, make public transportation, whether it be subway, a bus, or paratransit, more affordable for nearly 1.3 million working New Yorkers. The council is also enhancing NYC Kids Rise to provide a universal college savings account for every single public school kindergartner for $1,000. And this program is really transformative because not only do the studies show that a low-income child that has a college savings account is 3 times more likely to go to college than someone who does not, but also that young person who can use the funds, and the funds are invested in the 529, so they grow over time. Upon graduation, they can use those funds for a vocational school, they can use it for a 2-year community college or a 4-year college. And studies show that those individuals earn significantly more wages over the course of their lifetime. So that is a very exciting win as well. We also fought for programs that support mental health, that support swim safety, and home-delivered meals. We fought for our children to bolster their opportunities at a good education. We fought for our seniors, so there's a lot of support for our seniors to help them age in place with dignity. And we fought to fully fund our libraries, as well as to bring up the funding for our libraries to the highest level the City Council has ever funded our libraries. And that also, we funded HPD's capital increase to build 100% affordable housing on top of certain libraries, which is a council initiative that we've been pushing really hard on. Because, of course, we are the world's cultural capital, we're investing $20 million more in cultural institutions to provide more people to be able to go to these institutions. And so at the same time, we are also focused on our legal service providers. As you all know, several days ago I announced the return of Rafael Rubio, our employee who had been detained for over 158 days by ICE. And so one of the big priorities that we focused on in the council is making sure we are continuing to fund legal service providers as well. And to support the management of clean parks, we are restoring $14.4 million in baseline funding. And to support Black home ownership, we've secured more than $5 million in funding for deed theft prevention programs and for legal counseling. even with these life-changing investments, we ensured our city is on firm financial footing, and I'm very pleased that we've set aside over $350 million in funding for additional reserves for the rainy day fund, because it's obviously our duty to the people of our city to deliver a balanced and responsible budget, not just for next year, but for many years to come. This budget is a true win for New Yorkers who deserve affordability, stability, and opportunity, and a government devoted to delivering all three. So I was so pleased to have this handshake with the mayor this morning and to have the vote a little bit later today. So now we're going to move on to our stated agenda. First, we're going to vote on a $125.8 billion budget for fiscal year 2027. Next, we will vote on the following finance items. Pre-considered resolutions sponsored by Council Member Linda Lee, approving the new designation and changes in the designation of certain organizations to receive funding in the expense budget. Pre-considered resolution, also sponsored by Council Member Lee, to establish that the interest rate be 6% per annum for fiscal year 2027 for non-payment of taxes on properties with an assessed value of up to $250,000, 9% for properties with an assessed value of more than $250,000 but less than or equal to $450,000, and 16% for properties with an assessed value of more than $450,000. And a pre-considered resolution, also sponsored by Councilmember Lee, to establish that the interest rate be 2.5% per annum for fiscal year 2027 for certain properties for which the owner has entered into an installment payment agreement with the Department of Finance for payment of delinquent property taxes, assessments, or other changes. Today, we'll also vote on the following resolutions. Resolution 69, sponsored by Councilmember Tiffany Caban, would oppose President Trump's executive order restricting protections for transgender students and calls on the New York State Department of Education to ensure that all schools in New York City continue to uphold policies that protect the rights and dignity of transgender and gender nonconforming students. Resolution 143A, sponsored by Councilmember Kevin Riley, would call on Albany to pass legislation that would create unlimited transfers within the 2-hour period of paying the MTA subway or bus fare for pay-per-ride users. To celebrate the 2026 NBA champion New York Knicks, we are passing 3 resolutions. One sponsored by myself, would celebrate the Knicks in 5 as the New York Knicks won the 2026 NBA championship. Another, sponsored by Councilmember Virginia Maloney, would declare June 13th as New York Knicks Day in New York City. And the third, thank you. And the third, sponsored by Deputy Speaker Dr. Natasha Williams, would call for famed New York City locations to be ceremonial named for 1 year in honor of the 2026 NBA champions. In honor of the United States of America's 250th anniversary, we are going to pass a whole slate of resolutions. Pre-considered resolutions sponsored by Councilmember Gennaro would commemorate the pivotal political and military role of New York City in the birth of the U.S. 250 years ago. Pre-considered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Marte would celebrate historical documents that contributed to the birth of the United States and are on display at the New York Public Library as part of the nation's 250th anniversary events. Pre-considered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Rita Joseph would call on Albany to pass legislation to amend the education law to require instruction on the history, contributions, and experiences of people of African descent in public schools. Resolution 15, sponsored by Councilmember Joanne Ariola, would declare July 2nd annually in the City of New York as Freedom Day to commemorate the anniversary of the vote of the Second Continental Congress to declare independence from Great Britain in 1776. And Resolution 5, which is sponsored by myself and Minority Leader David Carr, would commemorate the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Today, we are also going to vote on the following pieces of legislation. Intro 929A, sponsored by Deputy Whip Elsie Encarnacion and co-prime sponsor Councilmember Dinowitz, would require the police commissioner to publish a transparency report on the police department's plan to address and contain the risk of physical obstruction, physical injury, intimidation, and interference at entrances to and exits from certain educational facilities in the city, including through security perimeters. This piece of legislation is a companion bill to the one that I sponsored and the council passed with a veto-proof majority back in March to safeguard the security of New Yorkers entering into their respective house of worship. And next, Intro 859A, sponsored by Councilmember Brewer, would specify the process to be used by the Department of Records and Information Services to comply with existing law. Introduction 92A, also sponsored by Councilmember Brewer, would permit DOT and sanitation departments to place a sticker on the window of any motor vehicle as a method of enforcing alternate side parking rules. I now invite Councilmember Brewer to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'll first talk about the stickers because that's more interesting. 892A. So in 1987, the Sanitation Department started placing day-glow green stickers on vehicles with repeated alternate side violations. These stickers are credited as one of the city's single most effective tool for helping keep our streets clean for all New Yorkers. After the council banned the stickers in 2012, I probably voted for it, I don't remember. Too many people make the following calculation. It is cheaper to not move your car for alternate side of the street parking and risk paying the $65 parking ticket than to pay for a parking garage, which in Manhattan runs thousands of dollars. So in April 2026, the Sanitation Department did a survey, and they estimate that 500,000 cars violate street cleaning regulations on over 1,200 routes every single week, preventing the cleaning of more than 3,000 miles of streets. We know that street cleaning only works if cars move, and when they don't, the sweepers cannot get down the street, and they weave in and out, and the garbage piles up. So it's time to restore this tool to improve compliance and help keep our streets clean. I want to thank Speaker Menon. I want to thank Chair Sanchez of the Sanitation Committee for their report, as well as Morgan Barrett, Joanna Castro, Andrea Vasquez, Jeff Baker, and from my office, Cynthia Hornig and Shula Puder. And I also want to thank the Sanitation Department. They are very supportive. Commissioner Anderson, former Commissioner Logan, and all of the members. Just quickly, in terms of 859A, which was also mentioned by the speaker, these are city's history. It's long and deep, and we need tools to remember them. Who came before us? Was their name on a building? Is it on a street sign? Are we just thinking about them for the future? So in 2023, the council passed My Local Law 104, requiring the Department of Records and Information Services, known as DORS, to create an interactive digital map of these co-namings. I'm very supportive of this kind of history. Between 2002 and 2003, more than 400 streets were co-named for first responders killed in 9/11. I think the speaker and I went to more funerals than we ever cared to go to. And the city lacked the biographical information to update the map for these 400 people. They were listed, but they had no bio. So to the credit of former Doris Commissioner Pauline Toole and her staff, they went and found the bios on every single one of them. I think there's one left we're still trying to find. This bill allows Doris to update the map so New Yorkers and visitors can quickly learn the stories behind the heroes. I want to thank Chris Satori from the committee staff, Senior Legislative Policy Patrick Mulville for their work. And also I just want to mention, as one of the ones that is already found, of course, is Cecile Richards. She was head of Planned Parenthood. Her mother, Ann Richards, was governor of Texas. She lived on 83rd Street and Central Park West, and there will be a co-street name at that location for her. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Brewer. And next, Introduction 580A, sponsored by Councilmember Jen Gutierrez, would create an Office of Child Care and Early Childhood Education to work with the mayor in planning and implementing child care for any child who resides in the city at no cost to a parent, step-parent, guardian, or relative. So now let me invite Councilmember Gutierrez to speak about her bill.
Thank you so much to Speaker Menon, who's been hands down incredibly supportive this whole time, especially even before she became Speaker, being the sponsor of a package of bills that I think will all work together to ultimately get New York City to be the leader in universal childcare. I'm really grateful to all of my colleagues that sponsored not once, not twice, but 3 times, as we've introed it 3 times. But I introed this bill and I worked with colleagues because I was a new mom at the council, and I was really lucky that I had this job where I could bring my kid in if I was sick. And now under the Speaker, we'll have childcare for that. I think that this is a very specific example, but for the rest of working New Yorkers, that is not always the case. For the rest of New York City, oftentimes it is an abuela, a neighbor, a cousin who has to step in, or for many women, and particularly women of color, it means they're stepping out from the workforce, losing money because the cost of childcare is astronomical. And I am so lucky to be a member at this time when we have this awesome speaker and colleagues who say we're going to finally support working families. We're actually going to get behind universal childcare. It's not new, but New York City is the first in the way that we are leaning into this, the way that we are investing in early childhood education. I'm really excited to be able to pass this bill. We're codifying the mayor's office of childcare. That way, whoever is in City Hall has to be held accountable to the pathway of universal childcare. The office will be working with all of us, with other agencies, to identify those childcare deserts, to prioritize those communities that need the childcare, and ultimately to finally bring providers into the table. We just had a rally where we heard from so many independent providers who felt that they have not been a part of the process for far too long. And for those of us in the outer boroughs, myself included, an independent provider is my option for childcare. And those are the folks that we want to bring into the fold, that we want to make sure that we're paying them dignified wages, that they have on a great and strong benefit package. So I'm really excited to be able to continue to work with everyone to make this happen. It's not for my kids, but I think we're so close. And I'm so grateful again to Speaker Menon, who is a working mom at the council and supporting those of us who are also working parents at the council, and didn't hesitate to support us. So thank you all again, and thank you everyone to support it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Gutierrez. And it is true, there's so many of us that are working parents in the council, and we've been working on these issues for a long time since we've been on the council. So this is a very exciting moment. Congratulations. A pre-considered introduction sponsored by Majority Leader Sean Abreu would rename 103 thoroughfares and public places. Introduction 31A, also sponsored by the Majority Leader, would expand categories of establishments that can be designated by DSNY to be subject to requirements regarding separation and disposal of organic waste. And then lastly, Intro 15A, also sponsored by the Majority Leader, would prohibit DOHMH from requiring a subsequent background check of an individual for the purposes of working in a center-based child care program if DOHMH has already completed a background check, barring a few exceptions. So I invite the Majority Leader to speak about his bills.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'll be very, very brief. It is very important for us that we expand composting. We already know it's already applied to our residences. We have a lot of funding for community composting, and now we think it's about time that businesses also divert food scraps from our landfill as well and turn it into compost. The way that the bill is going to work, it'll be implemented when commercial waste zones go into effect, and the reason we are doing that is because there are incentives baked into commercial waste zones that would make it actually better for our small businesses to participate and save money by participating through those incentives through commercial waste zones. Second, with respect to the background checks, we've heard from a lot of providers who have had workers, if they're changing classrooms, if they're changing floors, they have to take a background check literally again for changing their work environment, even if they had a background check very recently. So what the bill does is that if you're changing employers or you're changing your work setting, that background check follows you within that 5-year period. Of course, if you've been fired for lack of security, or you've been fired for gross misconduct or engaging in activities you shouldn't be otherwise, obviously the city will exercise that authority to make sure that we're performing background checks in those certain instances. So this balances the needs of providers, our workers, but also public safety. I want to thank the Speaker for getting this bill across the finish line and for all of your support on all the other bills.
Great. Thank you. And now, Introduction 553A, sponsored by Councilmember Oswald Velez, would require that the Department of Small Business Services or another agency designated by the mayor would establish a small retail business security system program to provide financial assistance to owners of these businesses. This is something I know we have been talking about for a long time, since the first year that we were in the council. So it's really exciting that this bill is now coming to the finish line. So I invite Councilmember Velez to speak about his bill.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Speaker Menon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Councilmember Oswald Velez, proudly representing the Bronx. I'm so thankful and grateful that we are finally getting the Small Business Protection Act to the finish line. As we know, our small businesses are the heart of our economy. They do so much for our city. They create local jobs for local residents. They make communities vibrant. And it is crucial that we listen to them on the challenges that they face, and it is crucial that we work to resolve the problems that they face. Some of those problems include challenges related to safety, including the issue of retail theft. We've made progress on that issue, but obviously there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to fully resolve the issue. These are threats, again, including retail theft, that can quickly escalate, they can turn into violent incidents, and they could also contribute to a decline in jobs, a decline in neighborhoods, and the decline in communities. One of the most important duties of city government is to keep New Yorkers safe. Keep New Yorkers safe and also protect their hard work. And as chair of the Public Safety Committee, this is my #1 priority. My bill will ensure that businesses have tools that help prevent these safety issues that we've seen by equipping them with technology, including cameras, plexiglass for the bodegas, and so much more to deter. This is an important step that we're taking to protect our small business owners and also protect their hard work. And we are also sending a crystal clear message that when it comes to the safety issues they've consistently raised, this city, and specifically this city council, is listening. So I just want to thank you, Speaker Menon, for making this a priority and for ensuring that this finally got to the finish line. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now I'm thrilled to talk a little bit about preconsidered, the introduction, a new bill sponsored by Councilmember Sanchez. This is a very exciting moment. As I spoke about at the handshake, we've worked on this for a very long time, since January, with the goal of having the administration drop the FEPS lawsuit, which we were able to succeed in, reach a settlement with the administration, which encompasses introducing this new bill that Councilmember Sanchez would talk about, which would establish a new rental assistance voucher program administered by HPD for families as well as individuals, and it would be subject to appropriation. So I now invite Councilmember Sanchez to talk about her bill.
Thank you, Speaker Menon. Yeah, we worked on this for approximately 10 years between February and June of this year. But before I start, I just want to thank you so much, Speaker, for your steadfast support. You held the line. You and the council's leadership team really put us in a position where we had power. And the Progressive Caucus, and especially the leadership of the Progressive Caucus, really bound together to say this was not just a priority in 2023, but it remains a priority. And that's the only reason we're here today. So thank you. And of course, to the advocates, you don't stop representing your people. You don't hesitate to, this is way too high, right? Yeah, okay, you're taller than me. You don't stop representing your people. You fight till the finish, and you are not afraid to call anyone out, including myself, so it's great. Today's settlement, the FY27 budget, and this piece of legislation together represent a historic win for vulnerable New Yorkers. Expanding access to housing vouchers responsibly, controlling costs, and most importantly of all, putting the city on a stronger pathway from costly shelter reliance toward permanent homes. The status quo doesn't work. New York City pays more for worse outcomes. In the past week, if not 6 months or 5 months, but 10 years within that time frame, we have highlighted and elevated a couple of facts. $54 per day to keep a family housed in shelter versus to keep a family housed in a permanent home versus $270 per day to keep that same family in shelter. 70% of shelter residents are families with children. 20,000 children were born in a shelter facility in the last year. The average age of a baby in shelter, 5 years old. We need to turn this around. But New York City is New York City. It's the Titanic of cities. With this cumulative $300 million investment shared across FY27 and FY28, we will be delivering for thousands of New Yorkers, tens of thousands of New Yorkers, and we will be shifting that Titanic. The new program will reach New Yorkers in shelter who were previously excluded because their incomes were just too high for the current CityFEPS program, but who are still low income. It will include households in non-DHS shelters, and specifically runaway and homeless youth shelters, families displaced by fires or vacate orders in HPD shelters, justice-involved New Yorkers. These folks were not previously eligible for a CityFEPS voucher. Seems arbitrary. It was. It will also support eviction prevention for income-eligible tenants in rent-stabilized apartments who are facing eviction in housing court. And importantly, this expansion will not include a work requirement for newly eligible New Yorkers because homelessness itself is a barrier, because instability is the barrier, and families should not have to prove that they are worthy of housing before we can get them help. This is also a responsible agreement. Funding will be distributed between shelter exits and community-based eviction prevention. The new program will be administered through HPD, who has expertise in administering vouchers, as you know, the Section 8 program. It will have a clearer structure, stronger oversight, and a commitment to accountability. We can expand access and govern well at the same time through this program that is a capped appropriation. I want to highlight that earlier this year, the New York State Comptroller found the existing CityFEPS program had weak oversight, payment issues, delays. All of that must and will be fixed. We will ensure it through our oversight powers. What is clear is that the choice is not between compassion and fiscal discipline. We can do both. We can meaningfully expand access to those who need. We can shift the way that the city deals with homelessness and housing permanency, and we can be competent in our administration. With that, I do acknowledge that this isn't where we wanted to land. I think that was widely and extensively reported over the last 4 years, which was the weekend. But we are in a very impressive place, and we would not have been here if the speaker did not hold the line, if the council did not stick together and say with one voice that this is a priority. So I thank you so much, Speaker, and I thank all of my colleagues.
Thank you, Councilmember Sanchez. It's a historic victory today. And that concludes our stated agenda, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Beginning with on-topic questions on today's budget. Kelly.
Hi, Speaker. How are you?
Hi.
A couple questions.
Sure.
First question, this issue really didn't pop up until the last couple of weeks. Why is that? Can you go through why that happened? And then I wanted to ask about the new program. The extension of the old program was obviously untenable. Taking that into effect, what's the plan to curb those costs? And what's the new growth estimate? So CityFEPS was already growing even before the expansion that would have taken effect. What's the plan to curb those costs? And
Sure.
And what's the
Yeah,
new growth of
got
the new program? And then also, who really sounded the alarm when it came to CityFEPS and the settlement? Because it felt like it was in the last couple of weeks that the council was.
So when I first became Speaker in January, the administration made the decision to continue the litigation. The administration asked me to sign off on papers before the court that would grant them an extension to continue the litigation. In consultation, I brought it back to our colleagues, and in consultation, I said no to that because my view has always been that the litigation just serves to delay a settlement. There's no point in continuing this costly, expensive litigation, and settlement was the right course of action. I had extensive conversations with Steve Banks. I used to work in a senior role at the City Law Department. I know that agency very well, and I felt very strongly that if we would just sit down, we could actually reach a settlement. We've been working on the settlement since January. And one of the things you say about the last 3 weeks, so we've been working on this since January to try to, it's really a tripartite idea. It is do a responsible expansion of FEPS. It is drop the lawsuit and then do the new bill that takes it, and this goes into your second question, it takes it from an entitlement program to a program that is subject to appropriation. So how do we contain the costs? It is, as Councilmember Sanchez rightly points out, Controller DiNapoli had an audit on this that showed there were almost no guardrails around the prior FEPS program. And that's a problem. And so it was ballooning out of control. This new bill that Councilmember Sanchez is introducing, that was part of our whole settlement agreement, does create responsible guardrails. It does create a new program administered by HPD, and it takes it from an entitlement program to one that is subject to appropriation. So I think across the board, this is really a historic win, both for vulnerable New Yorkers and for ensuring the legacy of this voucher program to make sure that we will actually be able to afford to administer it.
I know it's been funded for 2 years, but what's the growth estimate? And then after FY28, what's the?
Do you want to answer that? Yeah, I'm going to give it over to Councilmember Sanchez to talk about that.
Thank you, Speaker. +1 to everything you've said. The only thing that I would add is just the emphasis that it is a capped appropriation. So the growth estimate is what is the council going to pass in agreement with the mayor in FY28? What is the council and the mayor going to pass in 29? And so on and so forth. That is the growth of the program. This is subject to appropriation.
Hi.
I'm wondering, I know today's celebration day for all of you.
Yeah.
But fiscal watchdogs are saying, again, this budget relies too heavily on one-shot or short-term solutions. And we are looking at a budget gap for now almost the upcoming fiscal year of roughly $7 billion to $8 billion, depending on who you ask. So your response to that, and I guess, are we going to be in the same position largely as we have been this year, next year?
Sure, I'm happy to address that. Look, on April 1st, when the council put out its preliminary plan, we had identified approximately $6 billion of savings. The administration took, I believe, 19 out of 38 of those ideas. We have a lot of ideas around efficiencies that in no way cut services. There is a lot we can do to reduce the budget. We right now, and I've been talking about this for a very long time, at the Department of Education, which is the largest budget of any city agency, at which $12.8 billion is spent on outside contracts, which we've been trying to get a copy of now since March. You know, this is an opportunity where we could absolutely identify savings. And so that area to me is ripe for it. In addition, several months ago, the council passed my bill to eradicate the long-term use of no-bid contracts, barring a true emergency of 90 days or less. That is another way where those kinds of reforms can save money. So I am hopeful that in this next upcoming year, we can really do the hard work with the administration to ensure that that is a focus. That's certainly our focus on the council side, and so I hope that there will be that focus on the administration side as well.
Speaker Menon, when did you first learn from the mayor that he was planning to reverse his decision to hire the 580 police officers, and how do you feel about that?
He called me late last night to tell me it's not a decision I agree with. I have been pretty vocal about this, both at the March public safety hearing, at the June public safety hearing, that I believe we need to be adding police officers. We have now a police force that is less than on 9/11, yet the city has grown substantially. The NYPD has successfully thwarted over 50 terrorist attacks, many of which New Yorkers have not heard of because the NYPD has thwarted them. We also are seeing an increase in certain in rapes, in felony assaults, in subway crime. So this is of concern to me.
Did he explain his rationale?
He indicated what he indicated at the handshake today, that it was that he and the police commissioner made a decision, and it's not. I think I've been clear where I stand on it.
Hi, Speaker. So kind of building off of that point, another thing that the council was pushing for in this cycle was having a fifth man to FDNY.
Yes.
Students. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about where negotiations with that went.
Yeah, we really believe there should be a fifth firefighter, particularly in certain areas of the Bronx and other areas where you're seeing so many fatal fires. We push very hard for it. The administration came back saying that that had to be done through collective bargaining. We respectfully disagree with that. We believe it could be done, but they drew a line in the sand on that. Hi. I'm sorry, would you mind speaking up? It's a little hard to hear you from the back. Yes, much better. Thank you so much.
Can you talk about the specific guardrails that are being put in place with the new vector program? You mentioned them a few times. Like what
Yeah,
specifically is
yeah.
being-
You want to talk about it? I'll give it over to Councilmember Sanchez to talk about her bill. Thank you.
Thank you. So, first and foremost, we're going to keep repeating that it is a capped appropriation because that contains the cost. But there were specific issues that the controller's audit found. So some examples are verifying tenants' income so that you can know how much of their income they're supposed to be paying toward rent, verifying rent reasonableness, right, so that we can know whether rents that are being charged are reasonable for the area. There were issues with broker fees being paid 2 and 3 different times. That kind of mistake costs thousands of dollars each time that it happens. And so there are these items that will be corrected in the existing program and of course carried over into any future program, the future program we're creating today, to make sure the administration of the program runs well and it is a capped appropriation in its creation.
Another question for Councilmember Sanchez or Speaker Menon, Ben Noah from The Real Deal. Just about the logistics of transferring from the existing program to the new program. How are families who are already benefiting from the vouchers going to know to transition to the new program? Is there any anticipated kind of, education that needs to happen or people who might fall through the cracks of having to re-up their participation in this program?
Excellent question. We are creating a new program that captures the newly eligible, but the existing program will continue to exist within the Department of Social Services. So there is no transfer for existing voucher holders from their program. That administration has to improve. That's DSS. And this program and the bill that we're passing today is going to be administered by HPD.
All new applicants need to go through HPD.
Yes. And, providers will help, and if you're in housing court, you might be eligible for right to counsel. Right to counsel providers can help. That's how it's probably going to work.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
We're not doing all topic? Sure. All right, members.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks.
Hi, Speaker.
Hi.
The Quadrennial Advisory Commission
Mhm.
released its report last week,
Mhm.
recommending raises of 18.2% for elected officials. I believe the City Council is planning to take that up this summer, but when the council does so, is the intention to take the report at face value and do the 18.2%, or might that be adjusted?
Sure, great question. So I think my position on this has been any kind of pay raise has to be done in the proper way, which is through an independent commission, not by the body itself. So a discussion was had at Democratic Conference about the Quadrennial Commission's recommendations, and certainly we are looking at doing a bill to ratify those recommendations. And as I have stated, I will not be taking that pay raise myself.
Sure. Last week, as you may be aware, in Brooklyn, a district leader named Kamala Charrington was elected.
Yeah.
We found that she had posted material on social media promoting a book by Henry Ford called The International Jew, alleging Jewish people control banks, media, created the gay rights movement, are responsible for slavery, all alcohol, all drugs, all sort of manner of social ills are their fault. I guess my question for you, especially as the first Jewish speaker, is do you believe such views are disqualifying for a person to hold a position in the Democratic Party?
Obviously, I strongly disagree with those views, and those views are deeply, deeply offensive. I've never met her. So I've never had any conversation with her about any of this, but I certainly read online what she had been saying and posting, and it's unacceptable, it's abhorrent, and there's no place for that, and I'll leave it at that.
Hi, Speaker. I know
sorry, do you mind speaking up? Yeah.
I'm wondering what your response to last week's primary
Oh.
elections were. There's been so much
Mhm.
talk about how Mamdani is ushering in this wave of ultra-progressive
Mhm.
politics.
Mhm.
I know you're positioned as a natural foil towards the other side. So do you see your role changing in this political landscape at all? Does your role as
I don't see my role as a foil. I see my role as Speaker of the City Council, which is we are independent, co-equal branch of government, and so our job is to call the balls and strikes as we see them, to legislate, to have oversight over city agencies, to pass the budget, as we're about to do in a couple hours. It's not to be a foil or not to be a foil. It's about doing that oversight role, that independent co-equal branch of government, and what is truly separation of powers. I used to, a number of years ago, teach city government at Columbia, and as I used to always tell my students, separation of powers is a very important fundamental concept. So that's really what I view my role as. Great, thank you so much.
I'm not about you finish the